Good afternoon from the Circus Sports of the Mid-Kentucky Downs studio. I'm Ross Johnston. The NFL honors were last night, and Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford took home his first MVP while also announcing that he would be returning to play in 2026. Stafford just beat out Drake May by 5 total points, making it the closest MVP race since 2003 with Peyton Manning and Steve McNair. Mike Vrabel also took home Coach of the Year for the second time in his career, and the Pro Football Hall of Fame inductees were announced, and they are as follows: Saints quarterback Drew Brees, Cardinals receiver Larry Fitzgerald, Panthers linebacker Luke Kuechly, Patriots and Colts kicker Adam Vinatieri, and 49ers running back Roger Craig. Lastly, Vanderbilt and Tennessee are back on the hardwood tomorrow. The Commodores host Oklahoma at 2:30 in Memorial Gym, and the Vols head to Lexington to face off against Kentucky with tip-off at 7:30 p.m. Central in Rupp Arena. You can catch Vol Network's coverage of the game right here on The Zone. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. We're broadcasting live from the 104.5 The Zone Circus Sports Studios. Kentucky's largest sports book can now be found at Circus Sports in Kentucky Downs. And Blaine, last night, NFL honors. You heard some of the winners mentioned by Ross. We've been trying to find the episode because apparently I thought I wrote everybody's votes down. Our predictions at the beginning of the year.
Oh, I know. I said Josh Allen.
Yeah.
For MVP.
I can't find all of ours together. I can only find bits and pieces. So we're going to have to go back and get
I just know none of you guys are right.
I got one.
He got one.
You got what? What was it?
Ted McMillan, Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I don't think either.
Because I wasn't right.
Yeah, I don't think I got any right, to be honest with you.
I just remember the MVP. I don't remember. Yeah. I might have wrote it down somewhere as far as me personally. I don't know.
I don't know what happened to it. I thought I had it in a spreadsheet on my Google Sheets in the cloud, and I can't find any of it. We didn't do good. But MVP, Matt Stafford. This is as Ross said in his update, closest since 2003, since they had co-MVPs between Peyton Manning and Tennessee Titans quarterback Steve McNair. It was interesting because a lot of people were really gung-ho on Drake May, and it really came down to just Drake May had 24 first-place votes. Matt Stafford had 24 first-place votes. Drake May had 23 first-place votes, and only 2 other players got first-place votes. There were 2 for Josh Allen, 1 for Justin Herbert. And those 3 votes pretty much maybe have decided this, obviously, how this race may have went. But I do think Matt Stafford was deserving. He went 8 games without throwing an interception in the middle of the season. He threw 28 straight touchdowns in that 8-game stretch. That's the longest streak of passing touchdowns without an interception by any player since play-by-play in 1978 first started tracking that. Not only that, he led the NFL in passing yards, touchdowns, and touchdowns to interception ratio. He threw for 313 more passing yards and 15 more touchdowns than Drake May. Drake May had a fantastic year. But, I mean, Matt Stafford, I thought, put on a hell of a show in his 17th NFL season.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you can argue what you just put up there. I don't know what you really want me to say to that. I mean,
a convo.
I mean, Matthew Stafford was the better player. Now, if you want to look, numbers will tell you Drake May was. Not the numbers you presented. I'm talking about efficiency.
EPA.
Right. So, you can go back and forth. I just feel like, Matthew Stafford was just the better player, throughout the season. And I'm being biased to the fact that I also, in my eyes, it's hard to disconnect from the playoffs and how they played in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And Drake May did not play very good.
Yeah.
And Matthew Stafford, even in the loss, put up 300-something yards passing. So it wasn't him.
Right.
So, hey, and Drake may have many more years that we'll see to come. And, Matthew Stafford, who I've said is probably one of the best throwers in the National Football, just arm talent is just really phenomenal. Going on 18, seems as though next year may be his last year. I don't know why he had to announce it unless that is the case.
Maybe. I know there's always been a lot of controversy whether he was going to come back, and Sean McVay says that he was asked this week, and he said, well, we're just going to let Matt Stafford tell us if he's coming back or not.
So that was when he announced it.
When he
heard
announced
a cheer from his teammates out there.
Obviously,
I don't know if they really knew, but it's trying. It's really hard to quabble really over any of these guys.
Mm-hmm.
There's always other guys that are deserving as well. Man, it's
And I think part of the reason why he's deciding to come back, or he made at least a quick decision to come back, is he kind of alluded to it. Hey, I finished the season healthy. Like he usually is all banged up and having to play through injury. And for Matt Stafford's standards, he came through on the other side feeling pretty good in his body and everything. And that may give you a leg up for next year, feeling good. But I do wonder, how long are we going to see Matt Stafford play? Because he is 37, but we've seen players now, it's becoming a little bit more normal for quarterbacks. But he is a quarterback kind of unlike Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, that had a long injury history and played through a lot of injury histories because of his days of taking hits at Detroit. And there was a couple seasons there, and even in LA, where the offensive line wasn't that great. So I'll be very interested to see if he does come back after next year, because he's obviously come back this year, and I know everybody's really happy about that if you're an LA Ram.
Well, I would make an assumption that this is his last year.
Yeah.
If he had to make an announcement on that, I mean, obviously he kept people in the dark on it besides people close to him. So we assume, but things are fluid. They could always change. He could get one step away, or maybe another player injured away from getting back to the Super Bowl. Some guys are driven by different things. I think he is driven now to get that second Super Bowl ring, which, really that's kind of the bar that's up above everybody else. You can win one, but when you're elite like him, can you win two? So I'm sure he's a little motivated for that. Then obviously he'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Then there will be no doubt, no question, especially with the numbers that he's accumulated over this time.
For sure. No true surprise for Defensive Player of the Year with how the sack record was broken and all that. Myles Garrett.
That wasn't close.
Yeah, it wasn't close.
Unanimous.
The first unanimous player. So he got 500 points. So that's the unanimous vote is 500 points, max you can get. 177 was Will Anderson in second place.
I just needed, who was second?
Micah Parsons was third. Nick Bonito was fourth. And Aiden Hutchinson was fifth. So they're all edge rushers, or defensive ends, or outside linebackers, however you want to call them, but they're all pass rushers. But Myles Garrett, first, and only the second unanimous Defensive Player of the Year. The first went to J.J. Watt in 2014, so Myles Garrett is now the second, only in NFL history since they started doing this award, Defensive Player of the Year unanimous. And I mean, there is no argument to be made against that in my mind. They get the voters got that one right. That was a layup. Fantastic.
It's funny
season.
how we get to see the percentages and everything. We never get to see that on the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I would love to see that on the Hall of Fame. A little bit more
detail.
detail.
It's kind of like the referees. Like, nah, we don't have to answer.
Did you see
what we decided here?
The Judy Batista conspiracy about the Belichick thing?
No, I have not.
Basically, that they got it leaked out so that when the Hall of Fame inductees were announced last night, it wasn't like some big live shock.
Well, it wouldn't be the topic of discussion.
Yeah.
It already became the topic, and nobody else cares now. Right?
Yeah.
But
that was a great strategic move by the NFL or the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
No doubt.
With Stafford,
I didn't know that's a conspiracy. That's what people were saying now?
Yeah, Judy Batista said it. I do remember seeing that.
I'll eat that up. But with Stafford, obviously, hindsight's 20/20, but it's hard to see these dudes who have played for so long and they're that competitive hang it up after an MVP season. And we remember, like, way back right before the season was starting, people were like, is Matt Stafford going to play this year? Like, what's going on? He was in that little thing at Rams camp, the trailer or whatever.
That trailer. Hyperbolic chamber trailer or whatever it was.
It's just hard to imagine he would hang it up after an MVP season.
I think of it a little bit different. I would say it would be really easy because I still went out and I still was the best.
Yeah. Well, you got Super. You have
what
Super
if he
Bowl
won
ring and MVP.
and then they didn't make the playoffs? You still would feel the same way? He didn't
Then
make the playoffs, but he wins MVP because it's about the regular season.
And
So
like
they
if
go
they
11 and they barely miss it.
and like if they hadn't made the playoffs, I would have understood him hanging it up because it's like I played at my best and we didn't get to the dance.
Right. See, you win either way. So I wouldn't have been surprised.
Hey, go out on top. You got a Super Bowl ring. You got an MVP. I know you want to get 2 Super Bowl rings, but it's hard to do.
It is, man. Everything can go right again, and he still comes up short. I heard him say, "Hey, I expect to not be at this ceremony." So it is
Super Bowl's
definitely
in SoFi
his whole
next year.
Yeah.
motivation.
It's crazy. AP Offensive Player of the Year, Jackson Smith and Jigba. Christian McCaffrey came really close. Smith and Jigba had 14 first-place votes. Christian McCaffrey had 12 votes, 12 first-place votes. If you wanted to go by the numbers, Christian McCaffrey had the more yards, rushing and receiving combined, more touchdowns, those combined. But Jackson Smith and Jigba just played on a different level this year. Ended the year with 1,793 receiving yards and 10 touchdowns. I felt like those were the 2 guys that were more than likely going to be in the discussion anyway. Jackson Smith and Jigba comes out on top. No real beef or anything with that right there. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of McCaffrey, but obviously, man, watching JSN this season was pretty remarkable. They must have knew going into the season, because when they traded Metcalf, that this guy can be outside, inside guy, and his route running is perfection, man. He is an elite route runner. And he finds a way to get. But he has, I wouldn't say burner speed, but I would say he's right there at the tip of like a 4.4 guy. But I thought coming out, and he looks slender now compared to when he came out, that he was kind of more of a slot guy because the way he ran routes was really unique. But he's showing that he's faster than what he did when he played at Ohio State.
And listen, he has Rashid Shaheed and Cooper Kupp, but you pretty much had to stop Jackson Smith and Jigba, and hardly anybody could.
Couldn't stop it. You couldn't stop him. Didn't see him live when we played him. That took me. He's top 5. Jefferson, seeing him live was really phenomenal. He's been number 1 right now. Seeing him live, oh my gosh! And then his intensity level to get pissed off to throw the ball to me, he got it. He's like, hey man, I'm always overthrow the freaking ball, and I think he has to contain it. So. Yeah, these elite receivers, boy, I sure hope we can get one day.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Man, oh my. Just imagine a guy like that, JSN, young or old, Jefferson. You know how much that would just make everything so much easier for everybody.
Well, your reads are easier too, right? Because your guy's getting open pretty quick. Jackson Smith and Jigba. How many times did Jackson Smith and Jigba save Sam Darnold from a sack? Just because he got open so quick with either his route running or his speed or a mixture of both, just got open so quick and found the space, and Sam Darnold can release the ball and know that, hey, Jackson Smith's got me down there at the
I think outside A.J. Brown, maybe Derek Mason there for a little bit.
That's it.
For his tight, man, I just dang.
Think about the history. Think about the 25-year history of the Tennessee Titans. And it's like Derek Mason and A.J. Brown.
And that's a gap.
And a long gap. And now we're still in a gap of not being able to find that kind of player.
I'm talking receiver.
Yeah.
I know Delaney Walker was phenomenal.
Right.
Tight end. Unstoppable, Frank Wycheck. But no receivers.
Technically, Calvin Ridley would probably be the 3rd best wide receiver the Titans have had.
I don't know, Drew Bennett.
Well, yeah, Drew Bennett. Yeah. Drew Bennett, definitely.
As far as numbers.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't know where Dyson finished up on his numbers.
Yeah, but you're right on Drew Bennett, though.
He had a couple
good years, yeah.
He was opposite Derek Mason. They were kind of there together for a minute.
But you're right on that.
Man, dang it. Nobody else.
No.
I'm baffled, man. I
Well,
can't
Nate
believe.
Washington.
Oh, okay. I was going
Yeah.
to say, yeah.
I knew we were forgetting somebody.
I knew it was too, Nate Washington. How can we forget Nate Washington?
Man.
I mean, we've had.
I can't believe we forgot Nate Washington
because he was
like
a
that.
1,000-yard receiver, like back
feel
to back,
bad.
right?
Yeah.
Back to back to back. Well, his whole time here, he had a successful career. I think he signed a 4-year or 5-year
Yeah.
deal. So yeah, that.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was, no doubt.
No doubt.
I mean, we've had great names, Randy Moss, Julio Jones, DeAndre
Stop
Hopkins,
that.
Andre
Not
Johnson.
at the end of their career.
Dion went
Yancey
for
Thigpen?
1,000.
No.
Oh gosh, don't bring him up.
All right, we'll talk more about the NFL with Jordan DeJaney of CBS Sports. We'll go around the NFL with him. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop. Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
Nate the Great. You might not know this, but there's an auto repair company that pays its mechanics more than any other repair shops that you know of in the area. Hey, it's Blaine Bishop for Eurofix. And why would Eurofix do that? Because a decent technician can make up to 50, 60 grand a year, and a good technician that's pretty fast can make up to $120,000 a year. And a really, really fast and a really, really good technician, elite technician, can make up to $180,000 a year. Yes, that is mechanics, right? Can you believe that? And a lot of people look down on mechanics, and they shouldn't. And local owner Aaron Stokes is an ex-mechanic, and mechanics are what make the world go around, according to the mechanics. So they don't talk to the mechanics about that, and everything out there has to be worked on. So did you know Eurofix is not open on the weekends? And you say, why? Well, because Eurofix wants the kids of moms and dads, employees, to have their weekends together and not apart. And Aaron Stokes figured out a long, long time ago, if home life is unhappy, work life is unhappy too. So that's why Eurofix is open Monday through Friday. And European vehicles are fixed at below dealer pricing with a 3-year, 36,000-mile nationwide warranty on all repairs Eurofix performs. They have 5 locations and more to come in the state of Tennessee. So just give them a call at 844-EUROFIX. That's right, 844-EUROFIX, or you can check them out online at myeurofix.com. That's myeurofix.com.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. We're going to go around the NFL with Jordan DeJaney of CBS Sports. And Jordan, I guess we need to start with all this drama going down in Philadelphia. We got Nick Sirianni and Kevin Patullo taking away run game coordinating duties from one of the best in the game to ever do it, Jeff Stoutland, who then resigns from his position. And then over the last 24 hours, Landon Dickerson, Lane Johnson are both talking about, there are rumors that they're both going to retire. What is going on up in Philadelphia, and should they fire Sirianni this late in the season?
What's going on, friends? Thanks for having me on the show. Happy Super Bowl week to all of you guys. But yes, let's begin with the ever-long drama that is the Philadelphia Eagles. I think it's a good question about Nick Sirianni's job security, because my mind kind of went wild after hearing all this Jeff Stoutland drama. I mean, he is regarded as one of the best offensive line coaches in the NFL, a pivotal piece when it came to the creation of the tush push, which surely will be outlawed this offseason. He is stepping down. So why did this happen? ESPN reported that Nick Sirianni and Kevin Patullo started implementing these new run designs because the offense was struggling in 2025. And apparently, Jeff Stoutland was not asked about these changes. And that reportedly made him reconsider his standing with the franchise. And I think Stoutland's agent even told ESPN that his voice was not being heard in the organization, so now he's stepping down. And there are some ramifications for this. As you mentioned, Jeff McClain reported that six-time Pro Bowler Lane Johnson is considering retirement at 35. And this surprised me a little bit, because I talked to Lane Johnson before the season, and he told me about how there's these blueprints out there for offensive linemen to play 15, 16 years, like Trent Williams, Jason Peters, and Andrew Whitworth. He said he was feeling better than ever at 35 years old, so that kind of came as a surprise to me. What was more surprising was about Landon Dickerson. That guy is just 27 years old. He's apparently more of a question mark, maybe more considering retiring. He's a tough son of a gun. He's played through a lot of different injuries, but with the ousting of Jeff Stoutland, the Eagles may be missing some pieces on that offensive line and working in an offensive coordinator who's never done the job before, never run an offense before, never called plays before. So yeah, a ton of questions up in Philly.
Okay, so with all that, you go on to Cleveland. Jim Schwartz today resigns. This has been the wildest coaching offseason that I can ever remember, by the way. But Jim Schwartz resigns because he got passed over for the job for Todd Monken. I mean, what do you make of Todd Monken's hiring, but also Jim Schwartz resigning?
So I didn't hate the Todd Monken hiring. I think it is, if we had to talk about the most questionable hirings this offseason, I would probably put Todd Monken up there, but I don't despise it. I don't think it's a bad hiring by any means. But when you made that decision, you also upset Jim Schwartz, who is one of the best defensive minds in the NFL, and he felt like he had paid his dues and really earned the opportunity to lead the organization. I mean, hey, I'm leading a great defense with the Defensive Player of the Year. We're upholding our end of the bargain while the offense is flailing. I deserve to be the leader for this franchise that I've served for years, and he didn't get that opportunity. So, yeah, me and Blaine talked a little bit about this last week, what was going to happen with Jim Schwartz. What I said was that I really don't feel like there was any way he was going to be able to return to the franchise and serve as a defensive coordinator. Where the real controversy comes in and the real questions is, what exactly are the Browns going to do? Are they going to allow him to opt out or release him from his contract and allow him to search for other opportunities? Were they going to try to hold him hostage? And ultimately what happens is Jim Schwartz gives his resignation letter on today, Friday. And now it leads to some more questions of, how much are the Browns going to fight to hold on to his rights? Are they going to allow him to be an assistant somewhere, not a defensive coordinator, just work with another team in a different capacity? Or is he just going to sit out this year entirely? And that remains to be seen.
Real quick on that note, when a coach resigns like he just did literally an hour before the show, does he still get paid?
That's a good question, because I could see it going either way. I don't know exactly what's in his contract. If he sits out and does not take any other job, right, I would imagine he is paid.
Right. Okay. So are there different rules for players to coaches? And that's what I was getting to last week, is that How can he just sit up there and force him out? And you say, oh, well, because he's unhappy. Okay, this happens to players. So is the same standard, contractually the same for coaches as players, or is it a little bit different?
I think it's a good question, but this situation just feels a little bit different for me. Like if we're talking about a star quarterback or a wide receiver or a player on your offense, the organization has all the right to hold that guy hostage by his contract. But if we're talking about a defensive coordinator who obviously is a very good coach at that, who wasn't able to get promoted to head coach and he's unhappy with his role, it would be worse to have him in the building, right? I understand holding on to his rights, but keeping Schwartz in the building and where players on different sides of the ball are taking different sides, and now you're having this difference, this change in the change of command, I should say. It doesn't make sense for Jim Schwartz to be back. But again, when it comes to the rights of the player versus an assistant, that's not something I'm 100% certain on.
Mm-hmm. You were mentioning we're talking about Jim Schwartz anyway, but you mentioned Defensive Player of the Year, Myles Garrett, but he also had the Defensive Rookie of the Year as well in Carson Schlesinger. You wrote an article over at CBSSports.com calling him an immediate impact player. Talk about Carson Schlesinger's rookie season.
He was amazing. I mean, through the draft process, I'm sure that you remember that Carson Schlesinger was called maybe one of the best players in the class, but he wasn't going to be some kind of bona fide first-round pick because of where, the position he plays. But it was pretty amazing to see him come in and be a week one starter and be a day one impact guy as well. He's actually the first 4-3 linebacker to win Defensive Rookie of the Year since Shaquille Leonard of the Indianapolis Colts back in 2018. Myles Garrett, of course, was the headliner when it comes to this Browns defense, but Carson Schlesinger really held down the second level. So he was really aggressive with his reads. He was epic in run defense. I thought he was serviceable in pass defense as well. It seems like he's kind of on the trajectory of being like that next Luke Kuechly. I'm not saying he's going to be Luke Kuechly and a Hall of Famer, but the way he started his NFL career was fantastic.
The Cowboys are going to play the first ever regular season game in Rio de Janeiro. We have the first ever regular season game coming in Paris, and then we have the first regular season game coming in Melbourne. When does it stop? Is it just a global takeover and we're going to have multiple NFL leagues across the whole entire globe?
It's not going to stop. Unfortunately, it's not going to stop. And I'm just speaking from my own personal opinion. When we're talking about international games, the only thing that affects me is I'm watching football early Sunday morning or Friday night or just at a different time than I'm used to. Of course, there's a lot more major ramifications for the league as a whole. And what it is money. They're making money off of these international appearances. And more so than that, and this is something I've talked about for years, but the NFL wants to take over the world. They want to be the international sport. They want to have fan bases all over the world in different cities and different countries, everything about it. So I was watching the Roger Goodell press conference for the Super Bowl earlier this week, and he threw it out there saying, I want every single NFL team to play at least one international game per year. And I thought that was just absolutely mind-blowing. Mm-hmm. And don't get it twisted. There's some players out there that will talk about it's very cool to be an ambassador. It's very cool to get that attention and take a little bit of a vacation for your family, whatever it may be. But this is really tough when it comes to the NFL players' bodies and the schedules too. So it's not something that I think NFL players are thrilled with if you gave them truth serum and asked them to talk about it.
We're going around the NFL with Jordan DeJaney of CBS Sports.
Well, naturally, Bill Belichick and Kraft not getting into the Hall of Fame was big questions. I know a lot of theories that, that was brought out early just so it wouldn't be the topic of discussion today. But what was asked to Tom Brady is who is he supporting in this Super Bowl? And he kind of wavered, which was really weird. I'm like, you can still support the Patriots where you played without saying you're, kind of being politically in your answer. So what were your thoughts on that? I thought that was, some of his former teammates were calling him out, like, in a good way, in a fun way, but it's like, come on, Tom, now. I know you with the Raiders, but ownership, but, hey, man, I know you're cheering for the Patriots.
Yeah, I saw players calling him out like Asante Samuel. Asante Samuel was alluding to he was going to expose something about Tom Brady on social media earlier this week, which I thought was really funny. He didn't. I went and watched his full 30-minute podcast to see if there was any tidbits being dropped. Asante Samuel, it was definitely upset that Tom Brady wasn't repping his team, and so was Vince Wilfork, which I give credit to those guys. But I'm with you. I was surprised to see Tom Brady not take the side of the Patriots, and it kind of led me to naturally speculate what's his relationship with the organization these days, because I know he's trying to be politically correct. He wants to be known as the epic color commentator for Fox. That's what he wants to do now, not the former quarterback of the Patriots. But to use the words he did was shocking. To say, I don't have a dog in the fight. You're talking about the dynasty that you helped create, the best player in franchise history to win all those Super Bowls. It led us all to speculate, what, you don't want Drake May to have the kind of same success as you did? You don't want the organization to win a Super Bowl after you exited the organization? So that was a little surprising to me. Ultimately, I think he was trying to be politically correct. But, Tom Brady, it's okay to say you still like the Patriots and you're rooting for their success. Mike Vrabel is a former teammate of yours. It's fine to root for his success.
That was hilarious for me. All righty, now, we talked a little bit about Swartzy. Now, is it the same scenario? That's why I say this, because there's always a deal with certain players, and I was one of them, that there's different rules for coaches than players. Max Crosby's he wants out in the Raiders. Do you let him in the building?
I don't want to let Max Crosby go if I'm the Las Vegas Raiders.
But he doesn't want to be there, just like Swartzy.
Right. Well, we're just going to one of those classic player hold out, hold in situations, I guess. But you bring up a really interesting story, because I feel like not a lot of people are talking about Max Crosby these days. And Jay Glazer was the one who I think reported this. And when Jay Glazer speaks about Max Crosby, you better listen up, because that guy speaks one-on-one with Max Crosby plenty of times. And he's exactly in tune with the story. And he basically said, without coming out and saying it with his chest, which I thought was also notable, he said that, he thinks Max Crosby gets traded this offseason. And by the way, he could fetch more than the Micah Parsons trade with the Green Bay Packers and the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, which it would be very surprising. But, so we have to see what happens next, because Max Crosby just signed an extension not long ago with this organization. He has put on the face of, I'm going to be loyal to this team that took a chance out of me out of Eastern Michigan and has helped develop me into one of the premier players in the NFL. So we have to see what happens next. But Jay Glazer putting that out there specifically leads me to believe that, we're not done talking about Max Crosby this offseason.
No doubt about it. Now, naturally, the Super Bowl this weekend, and I know some injuries a little bit over there with May, and then I don't want to butcher his name, Nick Omorari. I think, the safety guy from South Carolina that can play nickel, safety linebacker, his little sprained ankle, and they showed him walking, and it didn't look good. So how do you see this game playing out based off what you're hearing as far as team is healthy, who's not?
So, I think Drake May and Sam Darnold are going to be okay. I'm sure they're nursing some bruises and whatnot, but they'll be okay to go. It will be interesting to see the kind of pressure that Seattle's able to put on Drake May. If he takes a couple of hits early, how could that alter the Patriots' passing game? I'll give you that. The Nick Emmanwori one was huge. It felt like I got punched in the gut when I saw that news, because I thought that this could really adjust the Super Bowl at large. Nick Emmanwori had 81 tackles, 11 passes defense, 9 tackles for loss this season for Seattle. That's top 3 on the team in each of those categories. He led all defensive backs in pressures this season. He had the 5th most snaps in the box among defensive backs this season. 49% of his snaps played at slot cornerback. He played at linebacker. He played outside. Nick Emmanwori, I'm not going to go out and say he's the best player on the Seahawks defense, but what he does really opened the door for Mike McDonald to implement the philosophy that he currently runs on. He's such an important player when it comes to Seattle's defense. So by all reports, he's going to play. I'm sure they're going to shoot him up with something nice, and he'll be feeling good, running off of adrenaline. This is the biggest game of them all, right? He's going to play. But, if Nick Emmanwori suffered an injury that was a little bit more serious than a low ankle sprain, I think it could have drastically affected the trajectory of what happens on Sunday.
All right, last, I got to ask you this fun question here is, growing up, what was your best Super Bowl memory? And then now, what has that been as a media member covering Super Bowls?
I will say, as a kid, I hated the Patriots dynasty. So watching the New York Giants take them on and David Tyree make that helmet catch is a moment I'll be more excited for than maybe any other. I'll never forget that as long as I live, the David Tyree helmet catch. As a media member, probably seeing the Chiefs and 49ers go to overtime was the other one that really I'll remember. Well, that game was fantastic. It's one of the best Super Bowls I've seen. So seeing a game go to overtime is always fun, whether it's the Patriots Falcons or whether it was the Chiefs 49ers.
Okay, so Jordan, Emmitt Smith goes off on the Browns and explains why they need to name Shedeur Sanders the starting quarterback right now. Give us the update on that inform us of what prompted that. And is this because him and Deion are buds?
Yes, it is. It is. I'll answer that part of the question first. I don't know if you watched the rant he did on Up and Adams. It was like nearly 5 minutes long, and it didn't make a lot of logical sense. I'll put it that way. He basically said that Shedeur Sanders possesses the confidence necessary to manifest success in the NFL, which I do think is a big part of success. Like Blaine Bishop can attest to that. I understand that. But Shedeur Sanders was statistically one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL this season. Now, I understand he's a rookie. He certainly has potential. I don't think Shedeur Sanders is a bad quarterback. He needs more of these reps to develop into what his potential ceiling is. But I don't think it's fair to say the Browns should automatically make Shedeur Sanders QB1 right now as we sit on February 6th. The Browns, by all accounts, are really going to survey all of their options on the quarterback carousel, whether that be free agency, whether that be the draft. Then there's this entire caveat with Deshaun Watson. That's the guy getting paid. That's the guy who the organization has historically given the QB1 title to. So with him back on the active roster, is he going to be QB1? I think what happens with the Browns quarterback carousel this offseason is one of the biggest stories of the offseason, because Shedeur Sanders, could he fetch trade value above the 5th round pick where he was selected? Would there be interest in a team trading for him as well? So I'm interested to see what happens. But yeah, I don't think that Shedeur Sanders is going to be named QB1 right now.
Okay, so it must be a New York thing, because the Giants and Jets made two of the oddest offensive coordinator decisions. I mean, I like Matt Nagy. I think it could work with Jackson Dart up there, and I like his matchup with John Harbaugh. There's obviously an Andy Reid connection there as well. And then the Jets, they fire 7 coaches, then they went ahead and fired Tanner Engstrand, and then they hire Frank Reich. What's kind of going on up in New York, and how do you view those hires?
I don't like either of them, to be quite honest with you. With the New York Giants, I say that because Matt Nagy hasn't been calling plays recently, and now he's going to be asked to be the name play caller for Jackson Dart and this team that has really high expectations now with the hiring of John Harbaugh. So I'm a little sketched out by the hiring of Matt Nagy, especially when you factor in that it looked like Cliff Kingsbury could be a finalist with that job. And I thought that made so much sense, because even if he was going to leave after 1 year, if New York was successful, what Cliff Kingsbury has done historically is gotten the most out of dual threat quarterbacks, and Jackson Dart has shown the ability to run. So I thought that Cliff Kingsbury with the Giants definitely made some sense. With the New York Jets, it's crazy to me that they waited so long to fire an offensive coordinator that we knew was on the hot seat entering week 1 last season. We had a lot of concerns about the Jets coaching staff in general when it came to the coordinators. Now they bring in Frank Reich, and I think this is pretty fascinating, because Frank Reich's been out of the game for a little bit. The last time we saw him was with the Carolina Panthers. He was fired after a disastrous 1-10 start. But what I do like about the Frank Reich hire is that Aaron Glenn is making this decision to basically save his job. And Frank Reich is a former quarterback, a former head coach. So bringing in someone of that ilk to serve as your head coach on the offensive side of the ball does make some sense. It's not something that necessarily inspires optimism, but Frank Reich is capable of at least crafting an offensive game plan and working that side of the ball.
All right. That was Jordan DeGenie, CBS Sports. But hey, guess what? Blaine's got another question.
Real quick. Where would they can go? Oh, I'm sorry. I had to sneeze. Super Bowl MVP prediction.
Yeah. I meant to ask that too.
Right. Because I'll have to. Oh my God. Yeah, bowl prediction.
Oh, I don't know if I have a bold prediction. What I'm putting money on is, I mean, listen, everyone's going to be talking about Sam Darnold is probably the favorite because he's the quarterback of the team that is favored. But I'm looking at the Seahawks really controlling tempo on the ground. Without Zach Charbonnet in the lineup, I'm looking at Kenneth Walker to win Super Bowl MVP. And by the way, sprinkle some money on Rashid Shaheed, too, because that guy can return the first punt in Super Bowl history for a touchdown. That guy can have a long touchdown. He's been an incredible addition for Seattle. So Rashid Shaheed might be my hot take for Super Bowl MVP.
I like those picks. I like those picks. All right. That was Jordan Dejaney of CBS Sports. We were in around the NFL with him. Jordan, enjoy your Super Bowl weekend.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right. When we come back, I have an answer to your question about whether Jim Schwartz still gets paid or not. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
Nope.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by all Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number one. An NFL coach is fired. He does get to continue to get paid.
Mm-hmm. Unlike players, when they get cut, pay stops that day.
Unless they haven't got paid.
Teach y'all some things here. It's not like Major League Baseball, hockey, or basketball.
Right.
Pay stops that day.
Now, if it's a resignation, this is where things get tricky. And this is from Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk. So and he's a former lawyer, for those that may not know, so this is pretty good information. The resignation generally waives all rights to ongoing compensation. This assumes, however, that the resignation was voluntary. If an owner told a coach that if he doesn't quit, he'll be fired, that becomes what the lawyers call a constructive discharge. If it was a constructive discharge, the question becomes whether the Raiders did or didn't have, this was for the Gruden, so an NFL team, did or didn't have cause to push him out.
Gotcha.
So
they don't have
the whole Jim Schwartz situation, though, I don't know how it would be viewed in a court of law. So I'm not saying that he is or isn't, because it's obviously he kind of made things pretty apparent that he didn't want to be there.
Right. So
that would mean that he wouldn't get paid because he's voluntarily resigning. I mean, that's at least what the rumors say.
They're doing him dirty, man.
You think so? I mean, you didn't get it.
No, man. I'm stunned, first of all, the source. That's why I said I think they had to tell him he was the head coach behind the scenes. Because even at worst case scenario, you go, okay, I still get to run my entire defense, wait for another hiring cycle, and I'll just coach this defense this year and then move on. Or you play that into getting a raise as a defensive coordinator. You're the highest paid defensive coordinator. Obviously, they like you at the organization. They wanted an offensive guy out. They wanted Monken. So you can't get mad at that. Just think if every player they drafted, every year they drafted a safety. I go, I'm out. Oh, they drafted a safety in the second round. I'm pissed off.
Yeah,
you can't set that kind of precedent.
I get what you're saying, but I agree with Blaine.
I agree with that.
I don't think they did Jim Schwartz wrong technically, unless they did tell him he was getting the job and then they said, no, you're not getting it.
How many times in the corporate world you deserve a promotion, but they hired somebody from outside? It goes on all the time. And guess what they can do? They can decide to up and leave. That's it. Well, that's what he's trying to do, except the league rules are a little bit different. You're going to have to resign, and then you may not get paid, and then you're late in the boat unless he already knows where he is going.
And to be fair, we talked about Nick Sirianni and his job security. Technically, there's another guy that has Philadelphia Eagles ties that just became available in Jim Schwartz. Just throwing it out there.
Schwartz and McDermott.
Yeah, Schwartz and McDermott. So there's two out there right now.
But so now he's free to do anything he wants.
Well, not technically. See, there's the other thing is that much like Mike, I know it's so ridiculous. Unlike Mike Tomlin, or just like Mike Tomlin, who also resigned, aka stepped down, they hold his rights until his contract is up. So when Sean Payton resigned and stepped away from football from the Saints, he didn't get paid. But they did keep his contracts and were able to trade him, right? Yeah. So that's the same situation for both these two guys. I'm not entirely sure how long Schwartz's contract as defensive coordinator has left, but as long as they hold the rights to the contract, he has to be traded for it. That's kind of why. I mean, this is a wild situation.
And that's why I got it all screwed. I got it wrong last year. I thought that the Browns would never relinquish Bill Callahan, the O-line coach, from his contract. If I'm the owner, I'm saying, why would I give up a good coach? I'm not doing that so he can go coach with his son. Whatever. This is not buddy system. Matter of fact, we may play them. No. So that's why I got it wrong.
They released him from the contract,
and then they let him leave. I said, I would have never done that.
Well, they did that because they were hoping they were going to be able to play the Titans.
This is
time,
why.
he's revered. He's the great. I'm like, well, I don't know about that.
Those last few years of the Browns' offensive line was not very good.
Well, Stefanski hired him back.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Stefanski also hired another guy he fired back. Van Pelt. Yeah. I mean, then Tommy Reese, who's had play calling, then had play calling taken away and all this kind of stuff. Like, I am so glad the Titans and I end up with Kevin Stefanski right now because, I mean, that would have been a mess of a staff. It would have just been a mess of a staff.
Oh, really? Their staff is looking bad?
I mean, they got Bill Callahan, Tommy Reese, and Alex Van Pelt, and I think they're all kind of below.
None of the guys you like, huh?
Yeah, they're pretty below in terms of like, if I'm comparing that staff to our staff,
Oh, we blow them out.
I'd be blowing them out of the water.
If you mutter the name Tommy Reese around Zach, he shudders.
I do. It gets shivers down my spine.
I think of a coach that I'm like, I really, it's just, I guess I'm not into the coaches like that, like knowing who's good or bad.
It's the college scene for me. It's like it's just
I do agree with you on the Reese, though.
Yeah.
But if he was calling plays for the Browns, when the Titans played him, I thought he did an okay job, except for that, crazy.
I think at that time he did. So
it wasn't so bad.
Yeah. Oof. But I'm just saying, like,
he was bad at Alabama, though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he
was the play caller.
They were still good at Alabama, because you have all the talent.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You have the talent, but he was just one of those.
Well,
it's just like when you watch
see Dayball, Kiffin, and how they were calling it.
Yeah.
And then you see that Texas, guy.
Even Bill O'Brien, I thought was better than Tommy Reese.
He's not quite as good.
Yeah. That's the thing.
Let me ask one more question about Schwartz. Probably stupid, but so if he wanted to go be DC and Arizona or Vegas, they'd have to trade for him.
Yes.
But if he wanted to
compensation.
But if he wanted to take a position coach like linebackers coaching
still
Philly,
have to do it.
Still got to trade? Okay.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I assume because I understand what you're saying because it's definitely a demotion.
But
I would still say they still hold the rights.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
When does his contract end?
We do not know that.
Oh, man.
And see, that's the other big issue with these coaches' contracts that drive both me and Blaine off the wall. We were talking about during the break was the public information is so scarce. Occasionally, you'll get Ben Johnson numbers, or you'll at least get years, which every head coach gets signed 5 years, right? Like that's pretty normal. Give us the money. I think all the player information is public about contracts. Why isn't the coach information public?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That to me, that would also give you kind of a sign. What's the faith level of certain franchises when they hire a new coach?
Speaking of that, what was the value of yearly by Mr. Callahan?
$3 million. And when you're talking about guys getting paid like 10, 13, 14 million, that's a huge difference.
On average, he should at least probably been around a 7,
Right.
8, 9. I mean, I know he's a first-time coach.
Yeah, and for me, it's like, okay, how much is Robert Saleh getting paid?
Well, you get what you pay for.
Yeah, no, that is true. That is true.
All right, we do not know what Saleh. It's his second go
we know
round.
it's a 5-year, but that's all we know.
If you were to make a guess, how much you think he's making yearly?
$8 million per year.
That's exactly the number I was going to say.
If Callahan,
which is $5 million more than Callahan.
Yeah, I was going to say if Callahan was 3, like think about what we could have done with that $3 million. We could have done so many different things.
I don't know.
I don't know, man. These are the things this is why I was never rep. This is why I don't want to vote. This is all those things because you're sitting there talking with people that they're just not going to see it. They let things go the way it's gone. Doesn't mean that it's right.
Yeah.
Like this doesn't add up. This doesn't make sense.
Yep. I agree. Yeah. When we come back, we're going to go to your phones. We're going to go to Stryker and Bear. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
Bear Stryker.
Good afternoon from the Circus Sports of the Main Kentucky Downs studio. I'm Ross Johnston. The NFL honors were last night, and Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford took home his first MVP while also announcing that he will be returning to play in 2026. Stafford just barely beat out Drake May by 5 total points, making it the closest MVP race since 2003 with Peyton Manning and Steve McNair. Also, Mike Vrabel took home Coach of the Year for the second time in his career, and the 5 Hall of Fame inductees were announced, and they are as follows: Saints quarterback Drew Brees, Cardinals receiver Larry Fitzgerald, Panthers linebacker Luke Kuechly, Patriots and Colts kicker Adam Vinatieri, and 49ers running back Roger Craig. Lastly, Vanderbilt and Tennessee are back on the hardwood tomorrow. The Commodores host Oklahoma at 2:30 in Memorial Gym, and the Vols head to Lexington to face off against Kentucky with tip-off at 7:30 p.m. Central. You can catch Vol Network's coverage of that game right here on The Zone. For all your foundation repair, waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans of Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. We're going to head to our CB radio of phone callers here. We got Striker and Bear, some code names, sounds like, trucker code names. Let's go to Striker. Breaker, Striker. You're on with Blaine Zach.
Good afternoon. I want to share my thoughts on getting inside Tom Brady's head for this ambivalence about which team he could back. And first of all, Tom loves his statue outside Gillette Stadium. He loves wearing a red coat along with his teammate Mike Vrabel, but he went to Tampa to win a Super Bowl without the Patriots, and I'm not sure that he wants the Patriots to be able to win a Super Bowl without him. So that's one side of the triangle. The next one is if you look at his 10% ownership in the Raiders, what sells tickets, what builds value in his equity, there's nothing that could probably have a more immediate effect than the offensive coordinator of the Seattle Seahawks, who's becoming the Raiders' new head coach, thanks to Tom Brady personally recruiting him. But it'd be pretty important to Tom if Clint had a pretty big day and that the Seattle offense did exceptionally well. I think people in Las Vegas would buy more season tickets. I think the value of the franchise would go up. And again, Tom owns 10% of that franchise. So I think he has the delicious dilemma of he doesn't want the Patriots to win a Super Bowl, get a Lombardi without him. He's already proven he didn't need them for him to get one. But think about his 10% equity in the Raiders and the new head coach that he personally recruited. And I think quietly his loyalty goes out the window, and it's purely mercenary now. I'll hang up and listen.
Thanks, Striker. I mean, it could be. I mean, I did find it odd initially when he said it, but I do think when you talk about his broadcasting relationship now, and then he's also minority owner, then he does have the ties to, like Stryker just laid out, he has the ties to the Patriots, but he also has ties now to the Seahawks' success. If, to his point, if Clint Kubiak wins and the offense looks really good, the Raiders fans are going to be pretty excited about Clint Kubiak and this offense and potential and all that stuff. They're probably excited anyway. But
can't they do well and still lose?
They could do that
the
too.
Offense can still look good. So to me, that was a little overthinking and reaching. First and foremost, Tom Brady didn't want to leave New England. They released him.
But that's true.
And then he said, okay, I'm about to show you who I am. We got divorced, and I'm going to show you that I was the linchpin in between.
And he kind of showed that,
and he definitely did. So that there, I would lean into more with the commentating and then the ownership. I kind of see that, but from a fan and former teammate, I don't think there's anything wrong with saying I'm always going to revere the Patriots organization, and so hopefully they do a good job, and my former teammate Vrabel. And that's all you got to say. Like, he's smart enough to do that instead of did what he did. That was, I don't know where he lies in the middle of that, maybe having ownership, but you can still cheer for another team. I know they're both in the AFC, but they're not in the same conference. I mean, like, that was a tough one there because I have a lot of respect for Tom and had conversations with him. He seems like a down to earth guy. That was a real political answer.
It really was. I was a little surprised that he didn't just go with it. But again, you do bring up a good point that nobody's really brought up is that, it didn't end well with New England technically.
No, it did not.
And he went out and got his little bit of revenge. Now, could you say bygones should be bygones and all that kind of stuff, and time heals all wounds?
He's got a statue out in front that Colin talked about it.
Yeah.
So you're not cheering for the team?
Yeah. I mean, I just find it a little bit hard to believe.
Only reason why I thought it would have been weird if it was the Raiders versus the Seahawks or somebody.
Yeah.
Then, now I'm all, I got you.
Because when I heard it, I was like, to me, my initial instinct was, okay.
Really?
Yeah, really? You're really not rooting for the Patriots? Come on.
It could be, man.
But maybe there. I mean, I don't know, Tom. So maybe there is. But I kind of signed with you. It felt very political.
Yeah, I think Kraft is in his corner. I mean, he can only go so far. I mean, if you guys are going back and forth for a couple of years, I can't be in the middle of it. I mean, we need to end this.
Right. Let's go to Bear in Springfield. Bear, you're on Blaine and Zach.
Hey, man, Professor. Yeah, man.
What up,
man? Ain't really had nothing to talk about. I just wanted to get at y'all, for the weekend. Wish y'all a good weekend and everything. And I wanted to ask Zach, what is assistant head coach? Is that a higher position than coordinator? Could Schwartz be a assistant head coach?
Ooh.
See, that's
semantics.
It is semantics, but I don't know how a resignation technically affects the promotion, demotion kind of deal. Like, if you're currently active coach, then yes, but technically a resignation would put you probably on some like different kind of category. So that's the thing I don't really know. So I don't want to say that a demotion or a promotion couldn't keep him or wouldn't prevent him from taking a different job, but I just don't know.
But guess what? Even with that, they could also, give him that title as well.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
And it has to be, and I do know this, those titles that seem superfluous, that don't seem to really matter, they do have to have a certain job description now in the NFL. You just can't slap assistant head coach. He has to be an assistant head coach and defensive coordinator. Like, he has to have some certain responsibilities. So it's not as easy as just slapping a title on. But again, I don't know how resignation affects that off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's correct. Okay. My bad, Brian. What's up? Oh, I thought you said, but yeah, then I just wanted to say, I know y'all were talking about Super Bowl plays, and I ain't really got a Super Bowl play, man. But my favorite play in the playoff, I don't know if y'all remember this, when we were playing Baltimore. I think it was that same year when we played the Patriots in the championship game, and Bennett dropped that floater, and we were playing Baltimore, and Eddie was killing them, and Eddie chokeslammed Ray Lewis. Man, I like to fell out. That was just the greatest play of my life. I ain't never, ever going to forget that. So if y'all already talked about it, I'm up there for mentioning it. But if y'all could, mention one of y'all favorite plays or whatever. And I hang up and listen, man. Tighten up.
Yeah. I mean, man, that's a good one. If I'm going strictly playoffs, favorite plays, it doesn't seem.
For the Super Bowl. I was just talking about Super Bowl because playoffs can be.
Right. I mean, there's so many. For the Super Bowl.
Is this anybody?
Anybody. I mean, the Saints onside kick.
Oh, that was against the Colts. That was
I was rooting so hard for the Saints. We were hosting a Super Bowl party at our house in Columbia, and I was rooting hard for the Saints. I was rooting against the Colts, no doubt. And I thought that whole game was kind of filled with a lot of Porter. Was that Porter
Tracy
who
Porter
also
had the
got
pick
the
six.
interception
Yeah.
and the pick six? So I was all about that game. I love that game. So that entire game is filled with moments because I just hate the Colts.
I got two. One of them y'all are going to be like, oh, of course. But first one would be Rodgers to Greg Jennings over the middle when he fit it right over Ryan Clark and he got drilled by Palomalu. That touchdown. And then the other Steelers Super Bowl against the Cardinals, the Big Ben to Santonio Holmes in the back corner. That was incredible. That catch was insane.
Man, I don't know the answer for me, really. There's so many different plays. Super Bowl. Oh, man. You know what? Good friend I still talk to today, Rodney Harrison. I hate it because I wanted to say I saw history and saw the Patriots go undefeated.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was actually cheering for the Patriots and then that Tyreek catch.
Yeah.
And, then the Plexico. Yeah, that was tough. I was like, oh, man, I want to see history. Even though I really wasn't, I would have preferred a Giant, but I still wanted to say I saw history, man.
Yeah.
That was a good play.
It was. Let's go to Chad in Hendersonville. Chad, you're on Blaine and Zach.
Hey, y'all, talking a little bit of the Raiders. This time last year, there was allegedly a trade that almost happened between the Raiders and the Vikings where Tom Brady seems to be a pretty big fan of J.J. McCarthy. And now, a year later, you know how things can change in a year. Of course, McCarthy doesn't have the same draft capital or the draft value that he had. But I like to do this, and I have a quick question for y'all. I like to take players, especially marquee players that have been in the draft a year or two and hypothetically say there's a rule where they can go back in the draft. So if you put J.J. McCarthy back in the draft as he is, 2 years in the league, let's say he goes in the draft, where does J.J. McCarthy, who maybe last year was even talked about when the Titans were doing some of their valuation, there was some talk about potentially if the Vikings kept Sam Darnold, which I'm sure they wish they would have in hindsight, and they were shopping J.J. McCarthy, there was some talk that maybe he could even be the number one overall pick last year. Where does J.J. McCarthy go in this draft? I'd like to hear your two respective opinions on that. Thank you.
Yeah, so I totally missed and just had to Google it, that it was reported by NFL.com, Daniel Rotman, that the Vikings almost traded J.J. McCarthy away to the Raiders last offseason.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. I totally missed that, but it would appear that head coach Kevin O'Connell wanted to stick with Sam Darnold and trade McCarthy away, but Kwesi, Dofo Mensah, wanted to go in the opposite direction. So there were apparently internal disagreements. Saying one of those guys just won that disagreement a year later.
We see.
If I'm looking at this draft, and everybody knows what J.J. McCarthy was this past year with the Vikings, I would say round 3, round 4. I don't know how many people would be willing to take a first-round pick on him. Maybe he goes second round. But he may be in that Garrett Nussmeier, Carson Beck, third, fourth quarterback off the board kind of deal. And I don't know if that guy goes in the first round.
I'm not sure where he would go in the draft, but I would say he'd be the third-rated quarterback.
Yeah.
Behind, Simpson and, Fernando. I would assume that. I don't know who all the quarterbacks, if I could think of. I just can't think of a third quarterback that is ranked high as of right now. So that's what makes him put him at 3. Doesn't mean he'll be a first rounder,
right?
But he would probably still be in top 3 rounds.
I'd feel pretty comfortable saying he's not going in the first round.
Yeah,
I was gonna say this may just be recency bias, but I'd rather have Chambliss than him, than McCarthy.
That
It'd be
it came down to it.
It'd be fun. Real quick, let's go to Larissa in Nashville. Larissa, you're on Blaine and Zach.
Hi, you guys. Ross rocks, by the way. And yeah, I'll put that on a T-shirt.
Nice.
All of you guys. And Tom Brady is a shark. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, this man will slice you, dice you, and keep it moving and smile while he's doing it.
Hey.
So I don't understand why people are like, oh, he didn't go for the Pats. Come on. Did you just meet the man? Yeah, already do. He is not about that. He's all about him in the business, and he's going to give you the business. But great shows. And, folks are making so much generational wealth at this point. But this is a question more towards for Blaine. Vrabel is now going to the Super Bowl after what he went through with the Titans. And Fisher was there when you were there. And now we have Saleh. It seems that there is a certain common denominator, but if you could speak on anything that you see that all three of those gentlemen have in common as coaches, I'd love to hear it. But
defensive coordinators. That's it.
But I'm going to hang up and listen because I called earlier and I sound like a moron. I'm starting to sound like one again. But
that party started for the weekend. All right, be safe.
All right, thank you, Larissa.
Bye.
Bye. Any other commonalities? I mean, obviously, defensive side of the ball kind of deal, but any other kind of commonalities between the three that you can find?
Man. Yeah, Fish, Vrabes, man, they were really game management and knowing all the freaking rules. Oh, my gosh. Fishbone was, it was just
Vrabel and Fisher both are kind of like that. Competition committee guys, too.
That they were, man, I felt like I knew all the rules. I felt like I knew all the I know half the guys probably just slept in those kind of meetings, but, I was a captain. I had to feel like I would need to know a little bit more about the rules. So, they were, man, the time management part of it. Man, I thought Vrabel took it even to the next level, stealing points right before halves.
Yeah.
Stuff he was... But and then
he also had stretch. I mean, like when you have
Fisher
a guy
did
like
not have stretch.
Yeah, there's no stretch for Fisher.
Him. Yeah, he was doing all so that made Fish maybe better.
Yeah, there you go. That may be true. All right, coming up next, we're going to talk about Calvin Ridley, his place versus the free agent wide receivers. Should the Titans cut him? Should the Titans keep him? What should they do? We'll give you our opinions coming up next. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone. Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door, 615-737-1045. We're actually getting to what the title of the show is, Ross.
No, we're going to do who's the best
Let's
quarterback.
change it. Let's not do it.
Who's the best quarterback in the AFC? Let's rank them.
It is our longest segment of the hour.
Yes, we're getting there. Calvin Ridley has become I feel like there's a good conversation to be had about Calvin Ridley and what he's going to be here in 2026, because a lot of people just automatically write him off and say, cut Calvin Ridley, forgetting that he did get you 1,000 yards just 2 seasons ago. And I know he got injured. And listen, I know that initially when he got his contract, it looked like he was getting paid wide receiver 1 money. And that is true at the time of his contract. But even in just the 3 short years, this is the 3rd year of his contract, he's really getting wide receiver 2 money. Now, that was not the intent of the contract.
Very true.
But how it looks now is it's not a terrible contract. Now,
you can get out.
And you can get out. So everybody is throwing out the cap numbers and cap space numbers. Like they're at $100 million. Well, that $100 million already takes into account Calvin Ridley's cap hit. So you have $100 million plus Calvin Ridley and already got Calvin Ridley's cap hit. So like you don't really have to cut him. He's getting paid $21.75 million in cash. Dang. And I know that sounds like a lot, but when you start factoring in signing bonuses of new wide receivers that you sign and all that stuff, you're going to be paying him less cash than you would some of these newer wide receivers. And listen, George Pickens isn't coming to the Titans. So I'm just going to kind of run through the top, guys by market value over at Spotrac.
What?
Yeah, I know that's surprising, but if you think they didn't like Jarvis Brownlee Jr., they're probably not going to like George Pickens. Just want to throw that out there.
We're under
You gotta be kidding me. He had 1,400 yards.
Right.
He's unbelievable talent.
Yeah, I don't think they're bringing in George Pickens.
Past all of that other stuff.
I tell you what, if they bring in George Pickens, I'll eat steamed plain Brussels sprouts live on the show.
If they bring in George Pickens, you have to shave your head.
I'm not shaving my head. I don't know if it will grow back, so I'm not shaving my head.
Oh, the lovely hair today, man. It's just wavy up there, man.
But
or mustache and goatee.
I know we're going to get a lot of calls because he's only 25. Yeah, I'll shave that. Listen, I know he's about to be 25, and I know he's a supreme talent, but he's also a supreme headache, and this team has shown that it doesn't really want supreme headaches around. Juwan Jennings comes in at number 2 in terms of market value. $22.6 million per year.
For Juwan Jennings?
For Juwan Jennings.
So that to be a 2. So he'd be just like Ridley.
He'd be I'm not going to say a worse version of Ridley, but he's a better version of Elikiah Manor. You get what I'm saying?
Comparison.
Like for me, if you look at Juwan Jennings.
Different. His games are different, yeah.
Yeah. But Juwan Jennings has never had 1,000-yard season.
What?
Never.
Well, he's on a team that
Now, he's a great red zone guy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he's great.
Great red zone. I mean, we're talking about 9 touchdowns, but
what's his
would you rather have Calvin, put away the orange glasses for the listeners?
What? They can't do that.
I know they can't
do that.
But would you rather have Calvin Ridley at his current contract or pay more for Juwan Jennings? I would rather just keep Calvin Ridley because I know that at his best, he is a bottom tier wide receiver 1 at his best. Now, you don't see his best every week, but at his best, he's a bottom tier wide receiver 1. Juwan Jennings is never going to be a wide receiver 1. So you don't really solve your biggest issue, which is not having a wide receiver 1 by signing Juwan Jennings. And I do like Juwan Jennings. I've gotten in arguments about how when him and NWI were both free agents, about how the Titans should be signing Juwan Jennings and not worrying about Nick Westbrook-Keenan, and people called me crazy. I like Juwan Jennings, but he's not a 1. He doesn't solve your issue. Well, just stick with the guy that kind of already has a little bit of chemistry with your wide receiver or with your quarterback. A guy that already has a little bit of knowledge to what Brian Dable wants. So to me, it's like Juwan Jennings, Calvin Ridley. I'm keeping Calvin Ridley.
Okay, you would recall better than me. How was Daboll's offense built around Neighbors once he got there? Did it change from the year before? Because we all know he was the number 1. I know he got injured. But how did the offense look? And then how did it look different after his injury? Because then they kind of were doing it by unit, I'm guessing.
Yeah, they
Because I thought Dan Hyatt would get elevated and have more opportunity, but that didn't happen. And I think, man, what was going on? I think
I would put it like this. I would kind of also use the Bills in this scenario as well as time with the Bills, is that his offense, a wide receiver one can thrive in that offense. Stephon Diggs, Malik Neighbors could thrive in that offense without sacrificing the sum of the parts.
Okay.
But if they don't have that wide receiver one, I don't think you really see that huge of a difference, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it doesn't drop off. Like, for the Tennessee Titans, let's put it in the words of let's say that you went from Derrick Henry to Antonio Andrews. Like, that's obviously a huge difference. If you went from Malik Neighbors to Darius Slayton Jr., which is kind of comparable in a sense, I don't think the offense really loses a step because he's able to adapt on the fly. Okay, I may lean on my run game a little bit more than my passing game, but we're still scoring points, we're still gaining yards, if that makes sense. So I don't think this is an offense that's necessarily designed where you have to have the elite wide receiver one.
Okay, well, I like that because in general, I like philosophies like that because you have to, now if you come upon a number one, you take it all day.
Right, like Malik Neighbors, right? Like, you don't pass on Malik Neighbors.
Right. You want to be able to have your offense to still function where everybody's a part of it. And then if, you have some more elite players at certain positions, oh, great. So, that's why I was asking, because then that means it can actually still function with, let's just say, if you got a chance to sign another, not exact player, but a 1B to a 2, a solid price. Man, I can't believe the solid price for a 2 is $22 million, man. That is, wow.
And then you drop down to Alec Pierce, who just had his first 1,000-yard season, the wide receiver from the Colts.
I know.
And he just seems like he seems like a younger version of Calvin Ridley.
As far as his impact.
Because he does have speed, right?
He got deep speed.
But I don't think he's a better route runner than Calvin Ridley. So Calvin Ridley has that element, but Calvin Ridley is injured and older than what Alec Pierce is, but Alec Pierce has never been a one in his system either. So I guess where I'm really boiling it down to is that there is no wide receiver one in this free agency class. You can go from Alec Pierce. Next up is Wan'Dale Robinson, who is a slot guy who did get 1,000 yards this year. First year for him getting 1,000 yards.
But
with Brian Dable, so there is a connection, but he's wanting $17.6 million. So would you sign Wan'Dale to keep with Calvin Ridley, and then you have Chimere DK and Elikai Manor pick up the rest of the slack?
Wan'Dale is like DK, right?
That's how I view it. And there are people out there that will tell you, well, Wan'Dale's better than DK. Well, yeah, you're comparing a year 4 wide receiver to a rookie wide receiver. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I would rather, when you talk about roster construction, I got a guy on a rookie contract that I feel pretty good about, who's a little bit taller than Wan'Dale and a little bit more dynamic than Wan'Dale.
And he brings, he had a great year, Pro Bowl year, come back and continue to develop at that slot guy. Now we got 2 for. We get a great returner, punt, kick, and slot receiver.
Yeah.
Ooh, boy, we may not afford him in 3 years, but right now, we get the steal.
Right. Mm-hmm. Now, I do like Rashid Shaheed, the wide receiver for the Seahawks that came from the Saints.
Burner.
And now he's get projected for $14.1 million per year. That is a guy that, he kind of plays a Z role, deep threat kind of guy.
And he plays what DK does, too.
He does, too. So there you go.
Oh, man.
Then you go Deebo Samuel's next on the list. I'm out on Deebo.
He's just older
Mike Evans probably going to stay with the Tampa. And some of these guys may not even make it to free agency.
Don't be old Titans and sign a veteran that's at the end of the tail. Go do it.
Romeo Doubs is another guy that everybody seems pretty high on. Guy? Green Bay Packers guy. And I like Romeo Doubs, but here's the thing with Romeo Doubs.
Uh-oh.
His highest season was this year, 724 yards. So you're getting an ex-wide receiver, that kind of guy, a better version of, or more experienced version of Elikai Manor, that isn't a number one. So you're still not solving your issue. You're just kind of getting a bunch of 2s, which is fine. But I think the idea that you have to get rid of Calvin Ridley to sign Romeo Doubs doesn't make a lot of sense. Sign Romeo Doubs to go with Calvin Ridley. You got Elikai Manor, you got Chimere DK in the slot, and Elikai Manor rotates in and out. Mm-hmm. That's a pretty good 4. That's a 4 you could live with and not have to put draft capital against a wide receiver until maybe day 3. But if you're signing Romeo Doubs and you're cutting Calvin Ridley, you've solved nothing about your wide receiver core. That's kind of where I'm at, is that.
And a guy who never had 1,000 and another guy who did have 1,000. We can complain
multiple
everything.
seasons.
Yeah.
And then it goes like Keenan Allen, Mark Hollywood Brown, Christian Kirk, Calvin Austin, Jalen Naylor, Khalif Raymond, Kendrick Brown, Sterling Shepard. Like, that's your wide receiver group.
Free agency is not good then.
So, you don't want to trade, and you're not going to bring Brandon Ayuk in.
Oh, no.
So, I mean, at this point, it's really, you may be best to keep Calvin Ridley and maybe still sign one of these guys and then let Calvin Ridley go next year.
Like, I would keep Ridley, hearing this whole scenario, and I would Jennings to like a modest, when I say modest to me, $10 million.
Yeah.
Like, I can't, he's only shown number-wise in a system where, it's pretty good that, he's a 2 and a 3 on a real good team. So his production, I can't go pay somebody 22 and then they're going to come up and they play the entire season and then they only get 700 yards.
Yeah.
Like that's just, I'm not putting enough money or too much money into one. Yeah, I can't do it. So I have to have signed him to like a 10-year, $10 million a year type contract maybe.
Right.
For this era. And then he's a 2, 3. Some days he may be a 1, and maybe I incentivize him with some incentives. Keep Ridley, the crew. You think the other 2 are going to get better from the draft class. And then maybe you add another young player.
In the draft.
In the draft, yeah. Because this is not the year that there's a receiver on free agency that you just, it makes you feel like, we got our guy.
And you're not in a position where trading for a wide receiver makes a lot of sense, right? There's like, the Bills traded for Stephon Diggs. Well, there is no, I know there's rumors that A.J. Brown and Justin Jefferson could be available.
Yeah.
But is that the right kind of player to go ahead and sign and bring in at this stage of the game? It's debatable. I'm not totally closed out of it, but
those to me are like moves you make if you feel like you're one player away on offense or whatever, right? Like if you feel like you're a Justin Jefferson away, but we're not. If we were to get one guy in free agency, I would want Dobbs and pair him with Ridley. I think you were talking about Romeo Dobbs is a really good number 2. And
you only have number 2s across the board on your roster,
right? But
that's better
fine.
than what you've had,
right? Yeah, but you're gonna get.
Or would you just rather have Van Jefferson bring him back?
Yeah, some people.
I still want him to bring Van back regardless because he's cheap and can play.
Because they can get him at $3 million clip or something. I think that's a security blanket. And if you now say he's your 5th guy, oh man, you got a decent solid crew, and anybody coming into a game, they go say any one of these guys can have a big day. We can't zero in on anybody. That's why I was asking you, does it have to have a star receiver or does he kind of work amongst all the receivers and they all kind of have input in there? And if you have an elite guy, then you start seeing him make more plays, but it's not designed initially.
Yeah. It's kind of like Shanahan. When he has Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, and Christian McCaffrey healthy, it's great. Mm-hmm. But he's still good when he doesn't have those pieces. And I think Brian Dable, to a lesser extent, has kind of shown that he's a little bit like that. Because he is a guy that or at least traditionally, does like to spread it out among the wide receivers as far as the formation. So he's creating holes and quick options for you. So you don't have to have a number 1 to necessarily do that. But obviously, if you have Malik Neighbors, it's 1,000 times better than having Darius Slayton. But when you're talking about per game production, passing game production, stuff like that, it doesn't rear its head that you don't have that number 1 on the field.
2 points I want you guys to think about, help us kind of come up with an answer here is, would you sign Alec Pierce to the same amount of money as Ridley, but then release Ridley for a fresh start? That's number 1. Number 2, I would be open to a superstar trade based off of, how much we got to give up.
Yeah.
Obviously, but because you also got to sell tickets. And that's another side of this. And that tells the fans that we are serious about winning. We got, all of a sudden now we got Jefferson matched up with all these other guys or whoever a player like that is.
Yeah.
So I think I would be open to that too, though.
If you got Alec Pierce and paired him with maybe if you went Alec Pierce and Romeo Doubs and cut Calvin Ridley, I'd be fine with that.
About. Yeah, that right there.
Or I'll throw this one out there because someone in the chat, Stevie Gordy said this on the chat. Stevie B. Gordy, he said, what about giving up a third-round pick for T. Higgins? And then you would have T. Higgins and maybe Alec Pierce in your scenario. I think I would be on board with that. That would be an instant upgrade, too. But I to your point, if you get Alec Pierce and you cut Calvin Ridley, you still need to sign a pretty high-end complimentary piece in wide receiver. Because, listen, I think Alec Alexander did a good job. He's actually 5th among rookie fourth-round wide receivers in terms of yards. Drafted since 2015.
I know this is great. Who are the other
Monroe St. Brown is number 1. I can't remember the other 4, so I apologize for that. But I know Monroe St. Brown is number 1.
He was 5th among the
500-some yards.
I thought as a 4th round, I thought he had to be at the top.
Yeah.
No
well,
way.
Technically, out of like 32 or 33 since drafted in the 4th round since 2015, he was near the top. But
Right.
I mean, there's
for this class.
Well, it goes 900-something yards, and then it went for Amon-Ra St. Brown, then it went to like 600, then like 5-something, then 5-something, then 5-something. So like they were all kind of right there together, the other 4.
But he was number 1 in this class.
Number 1 in this class, yeah.
Coming up, yeah.
What makes me really want them to keep Ridley, though, is one, I'm a route running guy, and I love that aspect. But two, you mentioned it the other day, Zach, him being with Dable again. And, like, I think Dable will move him around. Remember what us 3 were all talking about going into the Broncos game week 1? Put him in the slot. Make Surtain go into the slot. Like, they didn't really move him around. And they didn't really last year either.
Well, and to your point, in a 3-by-1 bunch formation, typically what Brian Dable has done is put like Stephon, his best wide receiver, in the middle of the bunch to be able to exploit some mismatches and stuff. So if you put Calvin Ridley in the middle of a bunch, he should be able to find some exploit. And he'll put like Gunnar Helm, or in that case, what I'm talking about was Stephon Diggs in the 3-by-1 in the bunch. And he had Dawson Knox out to the far right. And so he could put Gunnar Helm out to the far right in that same scenario, Calvin Ridley in the middle. But he could do the same with Alec Pierce or something like that. But you still have to find that complementary piece. Like, I don't feel good about going into the draft without 2 free agent wide receiver signings that are near the top of the market. If these guys even make it, there's not a good chance that even, I know George Pickens isn't coming here, but George Pickens makes it to free agency. I don't know if Juwan Jennings makes it to free agency from the San Francisco 49ers. Alec Pierce may not make it. Wan'Dale Robinson maybe could, but I don't know how many of these guys make it to free agency. So you may be actually forced to keep Calvin Ridley because he's actually your best option before free agency even rolls around.
That's what us not knowing the extent of his injury and where he's at in that process. I have no idea.
Yeah.
And
I will say this, an added bonus is that, I mean, the younger wide receivers seem to really took to trying to glean as much knowledge as they can from Calvin Ridley being in that room. But so, I mean, again, I just am saying this idea that Calvin Ridley's not a L'Jarius Sneed situation for me, where it's obvious L'Jarius Sneed is getting cut. It's not that obvious for me that Calvin Ridley is for sure getting cut. And I would almost venture to say that it may be in their best interest to keep Calvin Ridley at least one more year.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on that. I got to see how this all plays. Because of the free agency and the draft.
Because we never know, there may be a surprise cut, right?
It just doesn't. Yeah, they could do it later too, by the way. But and seeing what they get and collect in free agency and draft. But this year up high level, there's.
You can't create a hole without knowing what the hole's going to be filled with.
Dang, and then Whitey's free agent. Oh, crap.
All right, coming up next, we're going to go to Steve, and he wants to talk about wide receivers, but we're also going to talk about the Super Bowl. We got to give our predictions and about MVP and winners is covered too with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
Now, there's the new year, right? And everybody's coming up with their New Year's resolution. And mine is to lose a little bit of lbs. And I'm sure there's other people just like me. And the approach to weight loss at Edge Peptide Hormone Therapy is a little bit different. We make sure all the patients have extensive lab work and face-to-face conversations in office with our nurse practitioner to create a customized treatment plan tailored to your specific needs. They use only U.S.-based FDA-audited compounding pharmacies because knowing where your peptides come from always matter. And Edge walks through the process with you in treatment and answering questions and supporting you along the way through that process. Also get to enjoy their in-body scanner to track weight loss and make sure you're maintaining the muscle mass that you have gained. As well as Edge always uses the lowest effective doses to make sure that you are resetting your metabolic flexibility and not starving yourself like most of you guys are doing. So stop that. And also get to lower your A1C, keeping your cravings in check, prioritizing protein, and having someone guide your journey from start to finish. All you have to do now is give them a call for your wellness questions at 615-724-1878. That's 724-1878, or you can check them out online at edgepeptide.com. Keep me
Cover
home
2
tonight.
with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door. We're going to go to Steve real quick. Steve, you're on Blaine and Zach.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. It's so fun hearing you guys on Friday. One, it's a beautiful day. First nice day.
And the neighborhood gives me energy.
Amen. Anyway, it's great listening to you guys because you've gone from drafting a wide receiver 4 to trading for some other wide receiver. Like, I don't know what we need. So, and Zach and all his numbers. Zach, do your numbers just jump all over the pages? It's like,
I got a lot of tabs open up.
Oh man, he had me running around in circles as a GM. Oh man, don't do that because oh my gosh.
So I literally read back and forth, and I was sitting there talking off air, and I was like, okay, so why don't we just get a bunch of number 2s? Because the number 1s, they're prima donnas. You always got to make them happy.
This year,
and they're, there's no number 1 out there. George Pickens ain't a number 1. CeeDee Lamb's a 1. Pickens ain't a number 1.
Calvin that year.
Yeah, I think about that. No, Ayuk's not. He quit on his team last year. I don't know who's getting him.
We had 1,400 yards.
Who did?
Go look up Pickens' numbers. He had 1,400 yards.
I know, but he's not their number 1.
Right? No, well, he's not. But yeah,
you see what I mean? He did that so he get a big contract. Blaine, you played the game. You know where he's going.
Well, I mean, CeeDee Lamb was injured some games too. Yeah,
and a huge Alabama fan, just like Zach. I'd be fine. It's embarrassing because I'd be fine going getting Surratt from Indiana. He abused us. Not that I'm saying we got a good secondary, but I'm like, you need somebody like that. And then
so he's a 3rd round projection, I think.
Yeah, second, I think.
Second?
Yeah, get him in second. I'd be fine with that. But we need to realize one thing. The guy that's throwing him the football, and I know Brian Dabble, I do like the hire. Hadn't played a game yet, but I still like it. He's got to figure out how to throw these guys open. That's what's going to make a difference between y'all getting a number 2, a number 1, because he's still got to learn to throw the man open. Listen, y'all have a blessed weekend. Enjoy the weather. Zach, keep tabbing through your book, man. Blaine, have a good one.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Steve. I mean, there's just no – we were kind of talking about just real quick to wrap up the wide receiver conversation because we'll probably talk about a lot this offseason, but there's no wide receiver 1 and 4 that I'm comfortable drafting. It may just fall – the draft board will likely just fall just kind of looking at it as 3rd round, 4th round wide receivers again kind of for the Tennessee Titans. But real quick, let's go and talk about the Super Bowl. Go around the room, give us your Super Bowl winner and your MVP. I'll start us off. I'm going to go with I'm going to go with Seattle Seahawks. It's really hard to go against Mike Vrabel with a couple of weeks preparation, but I do think the Seattle Seahawks have the offense that the New England Patriots haven't faced. Like, they faced these defenses, and Drake May hasn't looked exceptional, but he's looked fine and fine enough to win the games. But the Seattle defense and the Seattle offense, I think, is the difference maker with Kenneth Walker, JSN, and Sam Darnold. I am going to go. I think it's going to be narrative driven. I'm going to go with Sam Darnold as MVP. Ross,
I like the underdog. I'll go Patriots, and I'll say the MVP, Stephon Diggs. Go with the wild card.
I like it. Blaine.
This was a tough one, man, because I just don't know how it's going to. Oh, my gosh. It's low scoring, man. I'm Pats, but my gut's telling me I've been saying Seattle and the Rams were in the best. Division. They were the best teams all season in totality, their whole team. That's what I like about them, the totality of their whole team, their offense, defense. They can beat you in multiple ways, run the ball, pass the ball. Okay, we're going to have a low-scoring game. We're going to beat you with defense. So, yeah, I'm going to go with the Seahawks. MVP, I just don't want to say Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
I want to say JSN, but then if JSN does great, they're going to say Sam Darnold threw him the ball. So Sam Darnold.
All right, there we go. This has been Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone. 3HL's up next. And in the meantime.
And in between time.
Peace.
Raw?